What is going on, everyone? My name is Boyd, and I am back with some more Age of Titans action. Spawning in the bottom side of the map in the blue color, playing Oranos is I Am Magic. His opponent today in the red color, playing Oranos as well as TheMista. The map is Oasis, and this is a mirror matchup for the Ragnarok series tournament. This is supposed to be Shoutcast Sunday, but it's currently Monday, so Look, I'm doing it. It's supposed to be on Sunday. I know it's out. We're doing it. It's cool. So you see Mista getting his economic guild out. Going to get that hunting dogs straight away in order to get these zebra income much faster. We see Magic grabbing his goat as soon as he can with those oracles, using them to scout. If you keep them still, their scouting expands. There's two ways to scout with the oracle. And it's kind of hasn't... I don't know if it's been... fully decided whether the method of moving your oracle around like this, where you shift click around heaps and you just use it as if it's a goat kind of thing, or letting it sit still and expanding that line of sight is better. It's not exactly sure. It looks like Magic doesn't know either, because he is sending several dudes around in the way he's wanting to do that, I guess. If we look at Mista, he's actually doing a kind of similar. Maybe it's kind of like a Oasis thing where you need to send a couple of Oracle scouts around to like scout out the goats and then get the other ones to do something else. Standard kind of build order from Mista. It looks like 2 villagers on the zebra, 1 villager on the wood, 1 villager on the gold, build a mana, then grab more villagers on food to advance at 430 mark. Looks about standard. Magic, on the other hand, is probably doing the same thing, considering both of these players aren't exactly Oranos mains per se. That doesn't mean they can't play Oranos, it just means that they're going to play Oranos in the normal quote-unquote way, which is 4:30 advance time, spam Sturmer, Rush Titan. Very easy to do, very effective, very good if you have good micro and economic maintenance or whatever. Someone asked me what I mean when I say macro and what I mean when I say micro in an earlier video. I don't know if I responded to it in the comment section, but micro is the control of an individual unit in, say, a battle or in like economy-wise. But basically, you can grab your unit and you're going to move him in a way that he wouldn't do with unless you said so. So say camel is getting attacked by archers, you move that camel so it doesn't get hit by the arrows. And macro, on the other hand, is basically the general scheme of your economy, like how many villages are going over here, how many villages are going over here, where am I spending my resources, etc, etc. I'm continuing along to see if my prediction of the build order is consistent with what's going on here. It looks like it is. More villagers killing off the food and gathering the berries from Mista. Magic also has 4 villagers on food at the moment. Trying to find as much hunt as you possibly can, which luckily for Magic he has. But yeah, that's that. Has Mista started building his temple yet? Looks like Mista's just chucking his temple up now. It's a little bit late. You can see how he has 25 gold. He could have chucked that up 25 gold earlier and not had to have had this second villager building this temple. And as a result, he's going to be short a little bit of food, it looks like, in order to advance to the classical age when he gets there. So he's going to have to wait a short amount of time there, and he's going to click it right now and be advancing through Prometheus. The same with Magic, I believe. Magic's a little bit more refined in his advance time and going to be in that classical age a couple of seconds faster. Whether or not that's going to make a huge difference or not is to be seen. So yeah, we'll see what happens. And I need to sneeze again. Man, I tried to find the mute button and I just missed it. I'll try and cut that out if I can work out how to do that, but man, that's a little bit embarrassing. So as you can see, when Magic advances to the classical age, he doesn't just leave 4 villagers on food. He transfers a couple of villagers to wood and a couple of villagers to gold. Normally you leave 2 villagers on food because that's all you need to make citizens continuously, and you put 3 villagers on wood, 3 villagers on gold, so you can spam Terma. Mista, it seems like this is maybe more of a modern build where you're going to be getting some Milo and Terma as well, so you can afford to produce those on top of Terma. See exactly what happens here. Get those Prometheans spamming pretty much straight away. I reckon that's what's going to happen. Get that counter barracks up and then the barracks up at the same time. Magic is doing 2 counter barracks. Looks like he is just going for that Terma build. Maybe those 3 villages on the food is more of a safety net, so you can continuously pump out villages without having to rely on that like gold, the food income from say like a couple of villages. Looks like he has switched that over. Maybe he just wanted to finish off that zebra, and having that extra amount of food in the bank just to produce those villages is going to be a nice thing for him. And we see Mista doing the counter barracks strategy, which is just cool. And he's got a lot more villages on food than he would, and he's not producing those Prometheans like I suggested he would in order to produce Momilo and Terma. One thing I see a lot of the time with Oranos players is they get house capped very early, and it looks like Magic hasn't got house capped, but Mista has, and that's going to set Mista behind quite a bit. It's not going to be that huge of a different deal, but it's just the little things which count, and Magic just going to be sneaking ahead with that continuous citizen production, whereas Mista's going to be struggling a little bit in that department. He has stolen a couple of goat here, but it looks like he hasn't really noticed. And Magic is kind of running around with his units, not really knowing what to do. At this stage of the game, all of the citizens are in a really good spot. I'm just going to quickly turn down the volume for me. Hopefully that didn't affect you guys too much, but it was just a little bit too loud for me. So the Terma running around, I guess like at this point they can fight, but really you don't really want to fight when you don't need to. So he's going to be running these in and not really going to take any damage because they're so fast. You see they dodged all the arrows there. Yeah, I think it's kind of just going to be a hit and run kind of red kind of play style at the moment. Trying to pick stuff off and maybe trying to get an advantage when that 10-minute mark happens and this gold mine depletes or Magic's gold mine depletes, because they're both going to be gathering gold at the same rate, being the same race. As soon as your gold mine depletes, your opponent's probably will be as well. There's going to be fight around this location and around this location, or around this location here and this location, and it's all going to come down to how well one player uses shockwave versus the other player and how well they micro. And there's this huge micro on. See a little raid coming in here as this counter barracks going up for Mista. The more military buildings you have, the faster you can produce units. And unfortunately for Magic, he's not going to have spotted that too early, and this villager can just, citizen can just garrison inside the manor and move back into this palm tree here and chop some wood without being harassed too heavily. Mista sending a raid around here, going to get intercepted by Magic, however, with his army being there already. Nice anticipation there. Looks like his Oracle Scout did scout that out as Mista ran past. And as I said, it's going to be a little bit non-eventful here. Second town center for Magic going up now. It looks like Mista sending his villages over to send that settlement up. I remember when Army Corps was playing really heavily, he had like a really nice strategy where he would get that full supply up and then get that second town center going up at about 8:39 minutes, and then heading to the heroic age, getting a third town center up while heading to the heroic age, and then going to the mythic age straight away, and getting that tie at about 15 minutes with a full army and full population of citizens as well. And it was incredibly strong. It looks like these guys are doing a little bit earlier kind of second town center style because there's no fighting happening, which means they're going to be getting a little bit more economy happening, which is nice to see. But it's smart because there's not much fighting going on. This fight here is actually heavily favoring Mista because, one, he's got those shots fired a little bit earlier, but this Momelo can take so much damage from the Terma, and there you go. You're gonna see a bunch of damage happening here, but not really losing any more units than they are. They both kind of picked off 1 unit each. A really big overkill there by Magic. I kind of expected, because he initiated that fight, to know how many spears he needs to throw at our Terma, and then split his army up and attack the same amount of Terma at the same time, and that's going to allow him to pick off 2 Terma for the 1 Terma. Just little things that really I kind of expect to see from these top level players, but unfortunately it doesn't matter a lot, so they don't do it. But if they did, it just get those little micro advantages. Picking off a Promethean there, not going to be too great for Mista there. He's currently sitting at 80 supply of 110 to Magic's 130 supply, and that's I reckon that comes down to just simply the mana issue that looks like Mista's been struggling with, whereas Magic's been all over it. Just simply putting up a mana and having supply is just such a big deal. Because it slows down your economy. It slows down your economic gains in that you're not producing villages and your opponent is. So there's just that to keep in mind. The other thing I notice a lot when I watch low-level Oranos players play is they forget, or maybe even medium-level Oranos players, because they're spending so much of their resources on army, they forget to build economic upgrades, and when they're playing against people like a Zeus or an Isis or something, they're like, every time I play against them, they always have so much more stuff than me, and that's simply just because they decided to click that button instead of building another 2 units. And that comes down to like the abuse of auto queue and not knowing when to flick it off in order to gather some resources in order to inject that into your economy so you can get some more stuff, etc., etc. Yeah, that's that, I guess. And we can just see more of this running around and doing kind of nothing. It's 10 minutes now, and we can see gold mines for Mista starting to dry up. Only 300 gold left for Mista, and probably the same for Magic, to be honest. Looks like he's at pretty much exactly the same gold, but he's already moved down to the second gold mine, whereas Mista has not. And he's actually going to have a lot of issues here trying to get this gold mine. However, Magic is kind of out of position to stop this because he has to be on 2 sides of the map. This side of the map is actually really hard for Mista to try and get, and this is definitely the gold mine to be expanding to, and we're going to see him probably move over there at this point. But maybe Mista's going to play some mind games here and know that gold mine is such a difficult thing to secure that he's going to move up here. Nope, going for the easy one. You always kind of want to go for the closest gold mine, and unfortunately it looks like Magic being a little bit indecisive with his army and moving it back instead of moving it forward here. I honestly believe if Magic fought right now with that 3 town center advantage, he'd be able to kick Mista off this gold mine, win the fight, and win the game. Mista though, heroic age through Thea, actually really smart hitting that heroic age that early. Maybe that's why he had less population beforehand. It's going to allow him to get those Hesperid trees and get some Dryads out, which is going to give him the advantage now. And also these Stymphalian birds can soak up a lot of damage by the Terma if you can pick off all of the hero Terma. This is not a fight that Magic wants to take here because he's kind of not in a good spot. With that shockwave though, that's actually going to be really difficult for Magic to win this fight. He should really shockwave back. That's a really bad shockwave, only hitting 4 Terma there. Looks like this fight can go either way though at the moment. A lot of units dying, a lot of Prometheans dying. As they split up, it's a lot more micro you have to do to pick them off continuously. And it kind of just looks like a lot of focus fire here. Magic noticing that he's losing this fight, and he's going to have to retreat. Choosing to fight while you're advancing to the heroic age is never a great idea because regardless of how far you are ahead, you've spent 800 food and 500 gold on that advancement without much else. Mista recognizing that chasing this army is not going to be a great idea if he can't get all his units in a good concave to be fighting. And Magic getting out of that unscared because he's so far ahead economically because of the kind of mismechanical plays that Mista has been doing economically with his manners and such. He's actually fine kind of being behind in terms of units killed. So this fight's going to continue. We do see the pierce armor upgrade have already been produced by Mista, which is going to give him a little bit more of an advantage in these fights, but it's not going to be that big of a deal because there's such a huge damage multiplier on the Terma fighting the other Terma. So until it starts becoming more about the Cherry Ballista, it doesn't really matter too much. No more villages being produced by Magic at the moment, which is really interesting considering like if Mista's still building some, and he's going through the Mythic Age now, jumping straight through Hecate. This could be a mistake though, because that's 1,000 food, 1,000 gold that he's not going to be able to spend in army. But it looks like he's just got such a good concave with those Dryads and those Stymphalian birds. It's really difficult to push in without having a bunch of infantry to deal with those Terma. If Magic had a bunch of Murmillo now, or Catus Kappa, I can't pronounce their name, but they are counter infantry, and pushed in there, but maybe not the counter infantry because they don't have good pierce defense, a bunch of Murmillo. He probably could have won that fight and then taken him off the gold mine. But now Mista going to be advancing through Hecate so early instead of where Magic is, where he's only just advancing through Hecate. It's going to be very difficult for him to deal with this this Tartarian gate if he decides to put it down. It looks like he's sending its medium Terma in. If he can get this into this location right in here, it's going to be devastating for Magic. But he's probably just going to try and maybe plant it here. Maybe not. I don't know. Sorry for my sniffling. I'm a little bit ill, but that's okay. Terma running in now. He's going to try and put it down here. There is a Hesperiid tree. If he can pick all this off, it's not going to go down. Unfortunately for Mista, that gets put down before he can. And there is this Oracle in here. Put it down. No! Ah, that's so frustrating. This Oracle got a Tartarian gate down right here, picking off 2 of these manas, and then he decides to put a timing push on this location right here. It would have been huge. What Mista kind of needs to do now is chuck a palace up forward, because he's got this kind of advantage with this army here. He puts a forward palace up and starts making destroyers. That completely counters the Terma-based army of Magic, and there's not really much you can do to defend. It's really good to attack with that, but defending with that kind of composition is really difficult, because you can't kill off the destroyers in time for them to destroy your buildings. We see the Tartarian gate getting put down at the back end of a Magic space. It's not the best spot for it, because it's kind of easy to get killed, but if you're fighting in it, it's kind of useful. Tartarian gate getting put in the base of Mista though, which is going to force Mista to have to retreat to deal with that, which is never a good idea. This is why I mean you need to kind of put it in a spot where that army isn't, because now he can just use his entire army to pick this off. Even though it's kind of slow with all these Terma, the Tartarian gate only has a 60% damage resistance, whereas this Tartarian gate not getting picked off at all, and Mista has to kind of retreat his villagers in, and this nice raid on this location, stopping Mista from getting that 3rd town center. This timing push is going to be kind of useless. Actually, he's managed to keep it up for quite a while. The power's still going to come in and kill off these with destroyers. Probably going to be enough there to survive, and Mista kind of needs to get his own destroyers over here. She's not. He is building them, but he's sending them where? I don't know, you can't just need to send them over there. Some Philian birds kind of scouting around here. Not really able to do much. Skull Mine's almost exhausted. He's going to have to move up to here, put another palace down. Might even be worth it to build a wall or 2 just to kind of, you know, do some stuff. Again, some raids going on here. Mista trying to raid on this location here, but this gold mine's about to be depleted, and killing it off is kind of just... It's kind of just preempting like what's already going to happen, and it's not going to really damage Magic more than it would have normally. He's just going to move up here and start mining from that gold mine, I guess. You can see it's at 1,000 gold, and they can kind of just retreat into the house and be fine. Funnily enough, this Dryad that's been chaosed? What? Someone go through chaos? No. How the hell? Oh, the Lampade. So the Lampade that probably Magic sent up here turned the Dryad into Gaia, and it's not really doing much. A little bit of a fight going on here, just picking off some citizens. Again, it's kind of not what you want to be trying to do. You've got to understand win conditions at this point, and win conditions are kind of deal with this so you can live and not lose, and then push in this location where the gold mine is, wall off here so that he can't mine this gold mine anymore, and then continue along. This is kind of what Magic's doing here. He's got these units here to kill off any palace that was here, but really they're just going to be attempting to pick off some of these villages. And what is Magic actually sitting at the moment? He's like actually struggling because he's got no gold. So if Mista hit a push here with some of these units, picked off this gold mine, he'd be in a really strong position to win the game. And it's very possible that he could do that at this point. Lampades at this point being on auto queue, not a great idea, because they're just going to soak up your gold, and they're not actually going to be that great, especially with all of these hero Terma really doing that pain. Some of these fanatics coming out now to deal with the destroys, really smart use of the fanatics there. Mista using a shockwave there to pick off a couple more of these units. Really needs to move around here and pick off this. Does he know it's here? Not Magic, I want Mista's perspective. He knows the gold mine's here, he knows it's being mined because you can see the mine slightly being depleted, so he's seen it. So he needs to kind of send units over there to kill it off. But obviously he doesn't have access to the opponent's resource bank, so he doesn't know how low Magic's gold is at the moment. So he doesn't know that that's a win condition at the moment. But it always is, like gold starving is always a win condition. kind of a misuse of units here as well. Really needs to get them over here to deal with this and stuff like that. This Tartarian Gate being up for this long is not... I don't understand. Like, you can't just ignore it. Like, I know it's not doing anything really. I mean, it's killing off units and it's killing off farms and it's not really picked off much, but it's just so painful to watch it still there after like 2-3 minutes. Finally, this push coming in here for Mista. With Magic sitting at 64 population, Mista really has an opportunity to end the game here if he can pick off this palace with some destroyers maybe and make a push in here. With all these fanatics as well, really difficult units to kill off with the composition that Magic's using with those Terma and Destroyer. They're really a counter to the baseline army of Magic. Funnily enough, I think that's actually... what have I done? Funnily enough, I think that ignoring this Tartarian Gate's actually been really, really clever for Mista, but we'll see if it pays off for him, because he's going to lose this town center if he's not careful. And this push coming in here, Magic bringing his citizens into the fray to try and like soak up some damage. Aggressive Hesperus tree here. He really knows that this is the fight he needs to win. Can produce some of those Dryads to push in here because he's probably sitting at full population. Not quite full population. Doesn't have full gold either. I'm not sure if that's exactly a smart thing for him to be doing. I'd rather see that gold being spent into maybe a palace or something. Does he have he doesn't have shaft mines. See, this is what I'm talking about, where like you forget as Oranos because you're so just busy spamming units to get your upgrades economically. So that's why these guys are sitting at a pretty tough spot economically. And pushing Magic off the gold here, sitting at 0 gold, or 85 gold, but that's basically 0. And Mista just kind of pushing it here, trying to pick off units and such, but sacrificing these units to keep him off gold is kind of a good idea, but he just needs to kind of get a palace up, which is what he's trying to do now. He's chucking that up now. He's got some more units to come in to reinforce this. If he can get this palace up, it's pretty much game over for Magic at the moment. And there we go. We see the town center getting destroyed, as I said, would happen if he didn't deal with that. So now it's kind of less certain who's going to win this game. Because if Magic can hold, then that means that that Mista needs to kill off this Tartarian Gate, get his town center back to be even economically. Magic doesn't have fortified town centers though, so it's not as big of a deal as you think. It's only 5 supply rather than the full 20 supply that it should be difference. So we'll see if Magic can hold on here or if it's going to be a little bit of that same thing. See the Arcus there, or Arceus, I'm not sure, Arcus picking off those Stymphalian birds. If you can focus them down, they die incredibly fast to these units. They deal 8 damage plus that bonus 500%, so that's quite a bit. It's kind of like 40 damage per shot onto those Stymphalian birds with the 30% damage reduction from them. So lots of maths that I can't do too quickly, but they do a lot of damage basically. More units still getting produced. I think maybe Mista might be an oversupply in citizens at this point because he's only got 2 town centers. It's really frustrating to see this because like I know that Tartarian Gate's kind of hard to kill off, but with those Tartarian spawn kind of chilling over here and over here, if you just let them kill them off and move some destroyers in here to just kill this off, you can just do it really easily. But there's such a focus on trying to control this location because I don't know why Mista thinks this is his only win condition, because like he's kind of in a fine spot to continue playing this game if he went back, but if he doesn't win this, he loses, kind of thing, in a weird way. So he's just continuously trying to push in here. Magic now sitting at 120 of 125 supply, needs to build another mana, but basically sitting stabilized. And with all these medium Arcus here, very difficult for Mista to kill off without kind of counter units, and he doesn't have those at the moment because he's so set in stone with these Arcus build. Nice shockwave there though. That's gonna really help him win this fight here. Needs some destroyers to get onto this palace though, and he doesn't really have that yet. Temple up in the front where he's kind of just to build those Stymphalian birds. Stymphalian birds kind of deal AoE damage, so if you focus them onto like a bulk bunch of medium Arcus, you can kind of kill them off a little bit easier. Yeah. I just want this to be dead. I just want this Tartarian Gate to die. That's all I want from life. And it's also stopping this market thing. So if Mr. Gold Mines deplete, Magic kind of stabilizes, which it looks like he's doing at the moment, and then he pushes Mista off this gold mine here, then there's no more gold for him to get apart from over here, but that's really easy to push off. So it's kind of all comes down to right now Mista doing the thing where he's like, okay, I'm going to let my forward base die, hope Magic wastes his time killing off this forward base, destroy this, restabilize, and then continue on from there. Mista really needs to think about maybe even chucking up some more palaces here, getting some watchtowers just to delay the push that Magic's going to have now, because he's sitting at a really good spot, and go from there. Also, getting this Hesprid tree gives Magic a third Hesprid tree, which it looks like he still has that second one. Yeah, he still has that second one to plant, so I can plant that anywhere. Normally, I see people using the Hesprid trees to GP block their Tartarian gate, but their Titan gate, but it doesn't look like that needs to happen because there's nothing that you can use to need to block that temple being attacked. As I said, this is what Mista needs. He needs Magic to waste time to kill off this while he spends his time to kind of kill off this Tartarian gate. Looks like he's sending Dryads over there again. That's just kind of not going to do anything. And with no palace here, this is going to be free reign for Magic to push in. Nice shockwave there, picking off a lot of units there, but they're just going to stop that stun and just keep running away, I think. Or not. Maybe not. Sometimes stunning something stops the waypoint. So if you do that and then they forget and they think they've already clicked over there, but they haven't, maybe he's just trying to fight because he needs to as well. Upgrading these medium Arcus Magic kind of needs to do as well. Needs to get a trade route happening as well because he's not going to have any gold soon. Where is he mining gold from? I can hear there's that gold. There's this gold, and then he has to move up here. Definitely just think about selling that market. He does have it here, and he has a fair amount of food in the bank, so he could start auto-queuing them a little bit. Looks like those Dryads now are trying to pick off the Tartarian gate, but not really doing a whole lot. Now, the Destroyers coming in to counter this army, very smart. They don't necessarily counter it, rather they tank a lot of damage. It's kind of like War Elephants in a chariot-based army. You get those or Siege Towers in a chariot-based army, better yet, like because they have such high pierce damage armor that this 7 damage turns into more like 2 damage-ish, give or take. Yeah, so he's going to chase them around and try and pick them off a little bit. Heroizing those Arcus to kill off those Stymphalian birds as well, but it looks like they're not really firing at them. If you move them too close to the enemy Arcus, they just focus them down, as you can see here. But managed to pick off one of those Stymphalian birds. A little bit of micro there from Magic trying to save them, but not really doing enough. The Destroyers doing a lot of what they're meant to do here. This is why Mista has a good chance to win this battle, but those Dryads also pseudo doing that with those 50% pierce armor. Kind of the vibe here. Nice little Dryad raid here. This is going to be huge, picking Magic off the gold that he doesn't really have. This gold mine is inextinguished, and if he can pick off all these villages and kind of gold stuff here, it's going to be really big for him. And if he can hold onto this gold mine as well. Looks like Magic moving his citizens in, again trying to pick Mista's units off. And it looks like that army composition of Mista winning a crucial fight here. This is going to be really difficult for Magic to come back from. The trade route has started, however, so he might be able to get the gold income in to kind of stay if he can stop this town center dying. With all these destroyers, though, that he could move onto that town center. It could be really big. Man, this is intense, dude. I don't really want to see these Dryads here in the base. If he loses these Dryads, it's not going to be a great idea. He doesn't need to pick off food villages. He really needs to just gold control here at this point. With those Murmillo, though, sitting on that gold mine, it's going to probably be enough. Palace going down for Mista to get some more of those Destroyers down. Needs to start focusing these Destroyers onto the town center of Magic and then maybe picking that off. And we do see that Magic probably is really in a rough spot here, sitting at 96 of 145 supply. Mista still sitting at 149 supply. Still has not picked up this Tartarian again. I cannot get over this. It's so like anti. It's just anti. I don't know what word. It's just like. It's so not what you think you should do, and it's working so well because he doesn't have the resources or time to invest in getting rid of that Tartarian gate, and he has managed to push Magic off the gold. The population doesn't matter because if you can't build units because you don't have gold, you can't do anything. Losing this town center means the population is equal, and there's like no way for Magic to come back at this point if he loses this town center. And it just looks like the game is over. He's going to be moving out again, trying to find this gold mine, and once he sees that there's a couple more million on here, I think he's going to tap out. Mr. grabbing back his Dryad, his Hesperid's tree. That was so smart by Mr. right there. That Destroyer Arcus army just completely obliterating Magic's army there. Looks like a couple of those Stymphalian birds coming over here, but with Mista running his Arcus around to pick off all these villages, it's going to be game over for Magic. Mista building this technically third town center for him once he sees all these units with these hero Arcus to pick off those Stymphalian birds. Them just die instantly. It's like the arrow folly, just like boom, kills them off. Magic taps out. GG. Mista played this game in a way that I have never seen before. I'm not going to call it great. I'm not going to call it bad. I'm just going to call it what it was. Intelligent. He saw more than I did. He decided that this town center is not worth his time. This Titan Gate is just too good, and I'm not going to bother with it. I'm just going to keep pushing. I'm going to keep gold starving. This is Oasis. If I gold starve, I win. He saw his win condition and he pushed for it, and he did it so well. The army composition at the very end to counter at the exact time he needed to do, just so good. Anyways, my name is Boyd. Thank you guys for watching. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.